It's Halloween season, which means it's time to rank some horror franchises. So today I'm ranking all 6 of the Scream movies from the worst to the best. And coming in last place for me at number 6 is Scream 4. For me, this is where the franchise temporarily started to lose its footing. The film thinks that if it acknowledges that it's lazy, then the audience will excuse it not trying. The only part of this movie that I found clever was the opening scene that was sort of a spoof and homage to films like Inception, but the rest of this movie I just couldn't get into. It's clear that Scream was originally intended to be a trilogy, but for some reason they decided to make a fourth one. And I get the idea of the film is that the tropes of horror movies have changed since the 90s, and the film is trying to reflect that, but the commentary and satire presented in this one just weren't as sharp, and I didn't find myself enjoying it as much. Number 5, Scream 2, a film that tries to replicate what made the first one so entertaining, but it does so in a way that isn't as clever. It's always kind of fun trying to guess who Ghostface is, but the plot for this one isn't as interesting, and again, the film thinks that by saying in the movie that sequels aren't as good as the original, that it's an excuse to not try as hard.
Doing a sequel, that's what we do in Hollywood, and everybody knows that the sequel's never quite as good.
Number 4, Scream 3. For me, this was a vast improvement over the second one, but this is where the franchise stopped being horror and it delved more into comedy. I liked where it took the characters, now it ended their arcs for the trilogy, and honestly, if this were the last movie in the franchise, I'd be satisfied, and I also enjoyed the twist of who Ghostface is. Number 3, Scream from 2022. On a plot level, it's a bit derivative of The Force Awakens and other legacy sequels, but at least when the film acknowledges it, it's clever, and we go back to the satire that made the original so much fun. Number 2, Scream 6. I was pleasantly surprised by how much I enjoyed this one. I like what they did with Jenna Ortega and Melissa Barrera's characters. I enjoyed how they connected some of the characters to the villains in the other movies. I think that setting the film in New York instead of Woodsboro for once made the film feel a bit more fresh. I enjoyed this one almost as much as the original. And coming at first place is Scream, the original. What a fun, clever, sharp movie this was. In some aspects it is a bit dated, but in a lot of ways, a lot of what the film is saying and satirizing still rings true. It has fun poking fun at horror movie tropes and cliches. The mystery of the film is fun. It has a great cast. I had a lot of fun with this movie. For me, it was the perfect mix of horror and comedy, and it comes in at number 1. If you're going to share any Scream movies, and I will see you next time.